Comes the Gemara on Chafav and Beis in the art scroll. It's Chafav 26b1, top of the page. Omar Rav. Also Adam Lisham Biyom Yosef Mashinas Asus. A person is not allowed to sleep during daytime longer than the amount of time for a horse that a horse sleeps. Now, what does that mean? That means we're trying to say that a person has to be careful not to waste time from learning Torah. And therefore, sleeping by day is going to come to take away from your learning. Adam, would you mind fixing the screen for a second over here? I think we're good. Okay, so if we look in the Shulchan Aruch says in Siman Reish Lamed Aleph, Sif Aleph, where he talks about everything you do should be l'shem shemayim. Whatever you do, you eat, you should be eating for a proper purpose. We're not animals. We don't eat like animals. We eat to have strength to do great things. And the Shulchan Aruch says if it's impossible for a person to learn without taking a nap during the day, he should take a nap, but don't nap too long, because it's forbidden to sleep by day more than the sleep of a horse, which there's a lot of different opinions exactly how much time are we referring to when he says you can't, some say you shouldn't nap more than a half hour, some say you shouldn't nap, we'll see different opinions. If you look in the Gemara says, Asal Adam Lishim Biyom Yoshin Asus, the Kameshinis Asus, what's called the sleep of a horse, Shitin Nishmi, 60 breaths. So what does that mean? It seems that the horse, the way the horse, if you look at the commentary about the horse's sleep, everyone knows how a horse sleeps. Look at the commentary, what it says about the horse's sleep. And number 4, he says that a horse never falls into a deep sleep, and rather it dozes for a short period and then awakes. So that amount of time that the horse sleeps at one shot, to 60 breaths, that's the amount of time a person should not sleep longer than that. And the commentaries bring what is this? Is this talking about a half hour? Is it talking about 3 hours? Different types of opinions about exactly how much is this amount of time that a person shouldn't sleep during the day. And Rashi states the reason is because of Bittul Torah. I think this is something that people don't even have I don't think people have an understanding about the responsibility of Torah study. That Torah study is such a responsibility that we have to learn Torah on a regular basis, that if we just overdo the comfort, so to speak, we overdo the sleep during the day, we are taken away from the study of Torah. We have a right, that we have allowance to take away from the study of Torah. You have to go and have a job. You have to go ahead and do other things you have to do. But when you're just going to sleep during the day, why it seems like that's a bittul Torah. So what about all other activities that people do that is wasting time from study of Torah? It seems to be a very serious thing that people need to realize, a total different appreciation of the mitzvah that we have of Talmud Torah, and how we have to be careful not to waste time from that mitzvah. I mean, it gives the guideline. Adam, the screen I gave is a little. The guideline is, the amount here is it shouldn't be. The rabbi says it shouldn't be longer than the sleep of a horse. The question is exactly what does he mean by that? What is that sleep of the horse? Because that's where the commentaries are trying to understand. But they understood what would that sleep of the horse. We have a little more difficulty understanding what he means by sleep of a horse, and there's different opinions. But I think what we need to take out from this Gemara is the idea of how people shouldn't waste time from the study of Torah. And I think that's a big lesson. It says Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, says the study of Torah is equal to all the mitzvot, and it says Bittul Torah, the waste of Torah study is also equals all the sins. So it's a big statement. So people have to just strengthen in their not wasting time and focus much more time in the study of Torah. People think that they study Torah for 1 hour a day and they're a big tzaddik. I mean, really, you know what? It's really like this week's parasha. The parasha this week, there's an opinion that says, when it says Noach ish tzaddik, tam hoye b'dorotav. Said Noach was a righteous person. He was complete in his generation. There is an opinion that says, if he would have been in the generation of Abraham, he wouldn't have been nothing big about him. But just compared to his generation, he was something special. So a lot of people, and therefore he was tzaddik compared to everybody else. We cannot be satisfied to say, you know what, look, I go to minyan every day, I study every day for a certain amount of time. I'm doing better than most people. But we don't measure against those type of people. We should measure against different type of people with different generations.
That against Abraham, he wasn't a giant, but against other tzaddikim, he would have been in different generations.
It could be. That's definitely possible because Abraham, and it's interesting about Abraham, it says he wouldn't be considered anything great. It seems that Abraham not only was so great that he made his generation so great. Abraham uplifted his generation to be in his, very high up there. But definitely, you're right. It could be that Abraham was just so unique, and other generations, Noah could have been. But I think people have to know who do they compare themselves to. I think that's really important in life. So that's what the Gemara says. Amar Abaye, Shinte Damar. Now the Gemara, the sleep of the rabbi, Mar is referring to Rabbah. Rabbah was the one who brought up Abaye. So Abaye's parents, what I recall, died young, and Rabbah took care of him, and brought him up. So Abaye says the sleep of my master, Rabbi Nachmani, was kiderav. He slept during the daytime the same amount of time that Rav slept during the day. He learned from Rav how much time you could sleep during the day. And Rav, where did Rav learn how much time you could sleep from the day? He learned from Rebbe. He saw Rav studied under Rebbe, and he grew up in the house of Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi, and therefore he learned from the rabbi how much can you sleep during the day. The amount of time the rabbi sleeps is also a lesson. The rabbi does not want to sleep longer than wake me up after a certain amount of time because I got learning to do. The Rebbe and Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi was David. He slept how did he know how much time to sleep? He learned from David HaMelech. With David, and how much was the time that David slept? Succah. David slept the amount of time that a horse would sleep. That David did not. Now David, at night, he did not sleep a straight sleep longer than a half hour at a time, and also in the daytime, he also didn't sleep more than a half hour at a time, and that would be because of Bittul Torah. Now, I mean, the language of the Gemara is you shouldn't sleep by day more than this 60 breaths. And the Gemara says the Succah, so how much is 60 breaths? The Succah Shitin Nishmi. The horse is 60 breaths. So it seems, so if you want to be, I think, that's also where we get this the shear. If a person goes to sleep for a half hour, we say you should wash your hands. Right? If a person dozes off for a few minutes, we don't say you have to wash your hands right, left, right, left, right, left. To remove the tumah. We say usually we say it if you slept for a half hour. That's interesting because that seems to be the size, this is the amount of time that's really called a type of sleep that could affect and bring this ruach hatumah, this contamination on somebody's hands. So therefore, they didn't want to sleep. They didn't want to sleep more than this half hour. So let's see in the okay. So that's what the Gemara says. Now the Gemara brings an interesting story. Let's see. Let's see something in the commentary that. Okay, the Gemara says, Omar Abaye. Abaye says, Shinsei Demar. Abaye, the Gemara says, has a story about Abaye. Having noim, he would doze off during the day. For the time period that he dozed off by the day was Kidama'ayil Pumbedisa Lebekove. The amount of time to walk from Pumbedisa. In those times, they all knew where it was, from Pumbedisa Lebekove. That's how much time he would go ahead and sleep. Some say this was less than an 18-minute time. I mean, he slept less than 18 minutes during the day. He didn't want to sleep more than that. And yet, Rabbi Yosef, it was like a real small, short nap, less than 18 minutes, according to some commentaries. And Rabbi Yosef said to him, Ad matai atzel tishkav. How long are you going to be, how long is the lazy person going to be laying down? And matai takum mishlatecha. When are you going to get up from your sleep? That's a pasuk from Mishlei. What does that mean to say? It means to say that the rabbi was very strict on him in a certain sense. The rabbi was telling him, even this amount of time, for maybe someone on your level, even this amount of time, you're taking too much time for sleeping. According to that opinion that he slept less than 18 minutes, another rabbi was telling me, you're still taking too long. Okay, Tana Rabbanan. I mean, there are other opinions on how to understand how much time this was, but we're going to explain it according to this opinion. Tana Rabbanan. Hanichnas, good morning, Mr. Batesh. Hanichnas lishon biyom. If somebody is going to his house and he's taking a nap during the day. Now, remember, in those days, they wore tefillin the whole day. Right? In the old days, they wore tefillin the whole day, except, as time went on, when, we started to wear tefillin less, it's hard to keep the body clean throughout the day. Technically, every moment of the day that a person wears his tefillin, he gets a mitzvah. Every second, you get a mitzvah. So they used to wear, the Torah says, place the tefillin on your hand and on your head, and you're doing that the whole day. And they worked during that time.
On and off.
Only when they would go to the bathroom, they would have to remove it. Besides going to the bathroom, even though when they were working, had the tefillin on, and you can imagine how that helped the person be on top of his game in life. When you have such a holy thing on you at all times throughout the day, it would definitely, you wear a yarmulke. People wear yarmulkes if they remind themselves. You have tzitzit, you remind yourself. Now you have your tefillin, it reminds you, right? I mean, yeah, a lot of people get used to it. It is true, but tefillin, everywhere you have the straps, you're reminded of it on a regular basis. When you're wearing a tefillin, I mean, if a person was wearing a tefillin the whole day, I mean, you hit into your straps. I mean, obviously, when he's deep in his work, he's not focused in on the tefillin. But you have your tefillin on. So even if you're a blacksmith or you're doing work, the fact that you have the knowledge of your tefillin on, that would help you act in a better fashion. That's what I would believe, because it's hard to keep the body clean. So we say so okay. We hold at nighttime. You would have to take it off. You can't leave it on night. In the time of the Gemara, there were opinions that said that nighttime was not a time of tefillin at all. There are other opinions that say nighttime is a time of tefillin, but the issue is you have to take off your tefillin at night because you might come to fall asleep. Maybe fall asleep in the tefillin. We would have to see exactly, according to the opinions that say night is a time of tefillin, was it only that they had to remove the tefillin? Did they also agree that rabbinically you have, because that's what we hold today. We hold today, we don't wear tefillin at night because maybe you're going to come to fall asleep with your tefillin, maybe, and therefore you come to midgazes with your tefillin. That's some of the issues that we have by wearing tefillin at night. And but really, on a Torah level, we hold that really nighttime is the time of tefillin. On a Torah level, it's just rabbinic protection that we don't put on tefillin at night. If you look in the Shulchan Aruch, what did you say? So when it's definitely night, is considered night. From sunset, we're already going to take off the tefillin at sunset. But if a person did not put on tefillin the whole day, and if it's in twilight between sunset and evening, and definite evening, he would put on the tefillin without a bracha. That's what we would do in such a case. In Shulchan Aruch, he talks about the time of putting on tefillin. Lamed Zayin. Let's see what he says over here. Talks about he says, Shulchan Aruch says the mitzvah that the tefillin should be on the whole day, because we need a clean body. You shouldn't mitgezes, and you shouldn't lose focus that you have the tefillin on. Two issues. You shouldn't, but also you have to always be conscious that you have a tefillin on, and not everyone's able to be careful about that, to be conscientious that he has a tefillin on, and not to mitgezes. The custom is not to leave it on the whole day, and therefore, a person has to be careful that he should have it on during the Kriyas Shema and the Amidah. That's what he says, and then in the Siman Mem Daled, he says, here he talks more about you can't sleep with your tefillin. Let's see in Halach, another Siman. If you make any comment regarding certain things about the times of the tefillin. Here, also when you have tefillin alayla, the Shulchan Aruch says you're not allowed to put on tefillin at night. What's the problem? Why can't you put on tefillin at night? Because maybe you can forget and fall asleep in the tefillin. And then when you fall asleep in the tefillin, maybe you'll emit gadgets. That's the only problem why you can't put on tefillin at night. Okay? Meaning on a Torah level, the Chafetz Chaim says, you have the mitzvah of tefillin at night. And we hold that nighttime is the time of tefillin. So this fits in perfectly what we said before. That really we would have the tefillin on a Torah level by day, the whole day, and at night. You take off your tefillin when you go to sleep on a Torah level. And you have that, and that's what the Gemara says. Anybody you have tefillin on your head, sit on your garment, and a mezuzah on your door, that's going to help you not to sin. Because you constantly have things that are reminding you not to sin. You walk into your house, you see the mezuzah, you move in, you walk, move this way, you move that way, you feel your tzitzit, and you have your tefillin on, so you're good to go. So therefore, on the Torah, Hashem wanted to set us up to be successful, right? So Hashem gives us mitzvot. He wants to be successful. So he tells us, he helps us out being successful. He gives us all these reminders to help us not to forget what we need to do in life. So I think now that we don't have the reminder of tefillin the whole day, we need to fill in that gap. There's a void that we have. We have to figure out what that is to keep us in shape. So that's something I think the interesting point. Tana Rabbana, back to the Gemara. We are on 26:1, 26b1, b1 on the right side. Tana Rabbana, Hanichnas lishon biyom. Someone wanted to go to sleep by daytime. He was interested in just going to sleep, taking a nap. And we spoke about, issue with having your tefillin on when you're sleeping. And we spoke about yesterday that you maybe could have your tefillin on if you're taking a short nap, which we saw was less than, about 50 something seconds. If you have your head between your knees and you're covered over a cloth, to make sure you won't get into a deep sleep with your tefillin. Bottom line, practically speaking, you shouldn't sleep with your tefillin on. So here it says a person's going to his house to sleep by day. Imratza cholet. If he wants, so this opinion says you could go ahead and if you want, you can remove your tefillin morning. Or if you want, maniach, you leave your tefillin on. You don't. This opinion says you don't have to take off your tefillin because you're going for a short period of time. You don't have a mind to sleep anything of a long time. And this opinion holds that you don't have to be afraid in this short amount of time that you're going to sleep that you're going to emit any gas, right? But therefore, it's going to be a very short sleep. This opinion says you could go ahead and leave your tefillin on if you want, if you're taking a little nap during the day. Comes the next opinion and says, and the Gemara continues, however, B'layla, if you're going to sleep by night, where it's common that people turn a little nap into I only want to take a little nap, and then boom, you turn it into a full real sleep. So B'layla choletz ve'ena maniach. Even if you have a mind to have a short nap at night, but you're going to say, if I'm only napping a short amount of time, I don't have to be afraid that I'm going to disrespect the tefillin. My body is going to be disrespect tefillin by emitting gases in a short amount. If I'm only going for a short sleep, the issue is that short sleep, it's very common that short sleep can turn into a deep sleep, and then there'll be a problem. Ve'ena maniach. You cannot leave the tefillin on. Divrei Reb Natan. That's the opinion of Reb Natan. Reb Yossi Omer. Reb Yossi says, Hayeladim. The young boys, le'olam chotzim. The young boys need to take off the tefillin, even if they're going to have a light sleep. They plan on having a light sleep during the day. They have to take off the tefillin. Ve'ena manichim. They cannot leave the tefillin on. Why? Because young men might have discharge accidents and have a discharge, and it will be very disrespectful for the tefillin if he's going to have a discharge. So therefore, even if he goes to sleep for a short amount of time by day, he might have an accident with the tefillin on, which would be very disrespectful. So therefore, we don't allow them. Now, the first opinion did not make a distinction between young men and anybody else. The first opinion of nothing says everybody, young and old, could go ahead and take a light nap during the day with the tefillin on. However, this opinion is concerned with the young boys He's not concerned that there's going to be emit gases in that short amount of time. He's concerned that maybe the young boy will have an accident because maybe chas v'shalom, he saw something that by day that wasn't proper, or he thought something that wasn't proper, and as a result of that thought, it could lead to an accident. And that's why that's one of the things where people have to be very careful not to expose themselves to see certain things or to think certain things, because that also be, they're not supposed to think these certain things, they're supposed to see certain things, and also it can lead also to these type of accidents. So the Gemara says, "Leimech Sava." Let us deduce and infer that Rabbi Yossi, who's concerned about a person, it's the young boy having a discharge with the tefillin on, let us say that Rabbi Yossi holds a bal keri. A bal keri is someone who has a discharge, asur laniach tefillin. He's not allowed to put on tefillin until he goes to the mikveh. There is a question. You see, there was a time period with, there's a little background here. Ezra, the great Ezra who built the second Beit HaMikdash, he made a takana. He instituted something that a person who had a discharge, someone with his wife the night before, or something happened by non-intentional, he would not be able to learn Torah. He would not be able to pray until he had to go to the mikveh. That was his institution. Eventually, it doesn't apply that people, of course, they don't have to go to the mikveh if they were with their wife, after they were with their wife. That's not something that we need to do today. But the question is regarding that time period, regarding putting on tefillin. If a person went ahead and after he was with his wife and he wants to put on his tefillin, would he also be forbidden to put on his tefillin until he goes ahead and goes to the mikveh? So Rashi says Rabbi Yossi is someone who generally the law, the halacha, follows Rabbi Yossi. So the question is, could we infer that from Rabbi Yossi's statement that the fact that he was concerned that the young boy shouldn't go ahead and might have an accident if he goes to sleep for a temporary nap during the day, does that imply that if he would have an accident, that means he's a person that's a bal keri, a person who had a discharge, and he's wearing tefillin, and a person who had a discharge is not allowed to go ahead and wear tefillin. Is that the issue? Is that the concern that the rabbi has, that this rabbi holds, this Rabbi Yossi holds, that a person, once he experienced a discharge, is forbidden to put on tefillin, and therefore the rabbi is concerned for that happening by if the young boy goes to sleep during the daytime. So that's what the Gemara wants to let us deduce. Rabbi Yossi holds that bal keri asur laniach tefillin, that a bal keri is not allowed to put on tefillin. If you want to look, most probably the commentary should say something on the bottom regarding number 1718. If you look at note number 17, that he, according to this opinion, at this point in the Gemara, Ezra's decree to prohibit a bal keri, someone at discharge, to study or pray until he goes to the mikveh, applies to the wearing of tefillin as well. So that is the question. How far did Ezra's decree, when Ezra made a takana, and I think what was behind Ezra's takana? Ezra felt maybe that people were overdoing with their wives, or he was concerned people shouldn't overdo with their wife. If every time they'll be with their wife, they're going to have to go ahead and go to the mikveh every time afterwards in the morning. It's not always so simple. It's not like today you have a mikveh, a person has a mikveh in the house, person has a mikveh down the block, 2 blocks away. You have to find the proper mikveh. So I think that was Ezra's concern, that people shouldn't overdo that type of activity. But here the question is, did it apply to tefillin as well? That if they were with their wife, they want to put on their tefillin, now they have to wait. Morning. They have to wait until they go to the mikveh or not. So the Gemara says, Amar Abaye. Abaye says, I'll tell you what the concern over here is. No proof that if someone who was a Balkari, someone who had a discharge, now he wants to put on tefillin, there's no proof that he couldn't put on tefillin. What was the issue? Bi'eladim. The case was that Bi'eladim v'neshotayim imahem. And they were young boys, but they were married. And they had a wife. And they had a wife with them when they went to sleep in the room. They were going to sleep. There's a wife. And that's the case that he says that they have to take off the tefillin. If a young boy is going to sleep during the daytime, even during the daytime, which really a person is not, the modesty is that people should not be active with their wife during the daytime. So only by nighttime is really the modest. It's modest to be with one's wife, not by day. But there are circumstances by day, and that it might not be forbidden, but it's definitely not. But obviously also there's only under certain conditions can it be done by day, because it has to be very dark in the room, certain types of rooms, whatever it is. We're not here to discuss the whole thing now, but we're talking about. He says we're talking about a case where they were taking a nap, and the wife was in the room with them when they were taking a nap. And maybe the concern is maybe they will come to have relations with their wife, and that would be a great disgrace to the tefillin, that he should have the tefillin on during having relations with his wife. And that's why Rabbi Yossi says that even if you plan on taking a nap, and it's daytime, you're a young married guy, and you weren't thinking of having relations with your wife, but the fact that you might come to have relations with your wife. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Boker Tov. Good morning. That person might come to have that. Therefore, to prevent that as a protection, Rabbi Yossi says, make sure if you're a young boy and you have your wife in the house, make sure you take off your tefillin before you take that light nap. Shema yavo l'dei hergel davar. Maybe you're going to come to do the thing that you do frequently. But if the wife is not there, and then he would not hold there's a problem, because maybe he would hold that the fact that even if a person is a balkari, even if a person had a discharge in the past, does not obligate him to refrain from having his tefillin on. He could put on his tefillin afterwards. Right. So right. If someone's in a hotel and the wife is there and you're putting in tefillin, so it's best you go into a different room. If your wife is not dressed properly, what? But if there's no other room to go into, right? Your wife is covered. There's no problem. Your wife is covered. You put on your tefillin. So the Gemara says, Tana Rabbana. So that's what the Gemara says. So technically, according to this, if a young person would go ahead and want to take a nap during the daytime, and if his wife's not there, and the whole concern is maybe he's going to have a discharge during that nap, that would not be enough of a reason to remove his tefillin before he takes the nap. But when his wife is there, that's much stronger of a concern, that he might actually come to have relations with his wife with his tefillin on, and that would be very disrespectful, and therefore he must take off his tefillin.
So we already discussed that 50 seconds. And be awake in 50 seconds. You're definitely going to take more than 50 seconds. I mean, I know was catnap, but you don't have control of falling asleep and.
Okay, so people have to know themselves. Okay, maybe some people know themselves how long they take a short amount of time. But it's a good question exactly about this short amount of time period, how long this exactly is. Tana Rabbanan, Shachach v'shimesh mitatzel b'tfilin. If a person forgot, he was wearing tefillin, and he forgot to take them off, and he had relation with his wife. That's how it's possible, how much they wore the tefillin. They wore the tefillin. You know, it was like Mr. Haber was saying before, maybe person gets used to it. You forget that you have it on. I said it's hard to forget you have a tefillin on with the straps and everything. It's hard to forget. But if you forgot and he had relation with his wife, which is a very disrespectful thing to do, what he needs to do, he cannot hold the tefillin. Not only can't hold it by the box, he can't even hold it by the straps until he washes his hands. Until he washes his hands. And then after he washes his hands, then he takes them off. Because your hands are dirty. And your hands are dirty. You can't touch not only the tefillin, the box, you can't touch the strap. First, he has to wash his hands. He has his tefillin on him, but he can't handle the tefillin if he forgot he had relations. So therefore, he has to wash his hands first. Okay, I want to wish everyone in the art school here, they have a nice little summary of it. Of what we always, all the different opinions, it's a lot going on over here. I want to wish everyone a beautiful Shabbat and everything good. And we should keep in mind, of course, the situation in Eretz Israel. We should try to increase in what we do and our learning, our mitzvahs, masatovim, tzedakah, everything, all good things we should increase.
Amen. Thank you, Rabbi.
All the best, everybody. Thank you.